Well, the burning question is, what did we get out of the trip to HD? And HD stands for Hotel Design, and it's the major event in the United States for the hoteliers and all of their suppliers to come, and they were there by the thousands. It's in the Sands Centre in Las Vegas, and it's huge. It's acres big, isn't it? And anyhow, the answer is because a lot. We got a lot out of it, not just from the product point of view, but a whole range of ideas that have been put forward and so forth. Now, I can say that if we don't become excellent, we'll become extinct. And I see this, we learned there are textile houses that have actually embraced technology, and they've done it really well, and there's the contrast to those textile houses that have been reluctant to embrace technology, and the contrast is palpable. You can see the good old guys with a textile-y sort of approach, and then you see those that are really doing some great things. And Momentum, one of the companies we went and had a look at, does an excellent job with its technology at developments. They're growing at a rate whilst others are going backwards. I'll actually read this because I don't want to miss the point. This is a company from whom we can learn a lot. Their approach to systems makes us look amateurish. I'll just list a few. The sales analysis is done by territory, by salesperson. Their commission is by specifier, unless there's a very special reason for the fabricator to be involved other than just receiving the goods. The purchaser is asked for the specifier's name, and the customer service association there is very strong. They use Goldmine, which they integrate with their software, and that's not dissimilar to the CRM that we're adopting with Pronto, where it's integrated so that the transaction information is stored on the customer's profile in Goldmine. And they've got telephone systems that are very sophisticated. In fact, they say they're just about to introduce a further sophistication, about a $200,000 investment, where the call coming from wherever on the continental USA is directed to the customer service person that's specifically allocated to that region, so that it will come in, say they're dialing in from Florida on their 1-800 number, and so up till now it's been a bit of a guessing game as to whom should be addressing that inquiry, and they will know this from here. They also have a banner, like an illuminated sign showing how many customer service people are available and show how many inbound calls are waiting. And once an inbound call exceeds a 30-second time lag, it turns red from a green, and it sounds an alarm, and the supervisor comes in and rescues that call, so that they're really service oriented and very, very interesting. And as I said, customer service is monitored in relationship to time lag and so forth. But the other thing they monitor is they actually record the conversation of the customer service people, and those that fail to either sell up or across, or even fail to say, thanks for calling Momentum, they get some training. And I don't know how that will go here, but it's worth thinking about. I think perhaps putting training, I think maybe even assuming that people can do with some training constantly, because we leak. I mean, I don't know about you, but you have great intentions, and then bit by bit it sort of deteriorates. Worth talking about. The program they call Lunch and Learn, I was really excited about. They've actually got a classroom set up in their office, and it's very well organised with projectors and screens and sound equipment and so forth. They deal with very open information about the company's well-being. They'll have information about their various product group growth, and it'll show in those things that are above budget in terms of results will be printed in green, and those things that are missing budget will be printed in red, and there'll be discussion about that. But the Lunch and Learn is not just about product, it's to do with skin cancer issues and health issues and superannuation and all of those things that affect their people. And I gather it's a voluntary arrangement. They just throw the lunch on, probably on a monthly basis specifically, but then ad hocly they'll bring reps together. They have some 37 reps in employ, and then about 13 as agents, because some of the smaller states, like Rhode Island, for instance, I gather, doesn't warrant having a rep on the ground, but they don't necessarily have offices there. And they also have regional stockholding position. So if they're doing a program and with a furniture manufacturer, for instance, and the equivalent here would be, say, Siebel, if, for instance, or Life Care, if they've got a program where that company has bought, that's an interesting point, that has bought the cards for their books with the Momentum fabric in it, they'll put inventory adjacent in the metropolitan area of where that manufacturing facility is, so they can respond rapidly, and they manage that inventory very, very well. So, Roger, their president, says they allocate about 5 or 6% of sales to sampling. Their reps have a device which is a phone, email and a scanner, and it's interesting, on each of the sample cards, if the rep's showing a specifier, they call them A&D, architect and designer, and they say, yes, I'd like a card of this, or I'd like a card of that, or I'd like a memo of this, or a memo of that. They actually just scan it, put it into their device, and without any human intervention, it goes through the sampling department, because when they make the visit, they log on to that client, because they've got their CRM on the little device. And it's a bit like a BlackBerry. They call it, what do they call it?
Trio?
A trio. Thank you.
Just read.
There we go. Thanks. I'm having trouble reading the notes. Anyhow, they cost about $1,000 each. There's another thing that I think is pretty amazing, is they've got a vendor evaluation system, and I've actually been speaking to Max yesterday about this. In the discussion, we were talking to Roger, this president of Momentum again, about whether he got caught by the failure of some of these big companies, Quaker and so forth. And he said, no, we were bailing out way in advance. I said, well, how did you know that? You know? And he said, well, we monitor it. And he went on to explain he has this vendor evaluation, and he has a report, like a financial report of the people that he's interested in. He also assesses the on-timeness of their delivery, their reliability, the level of flaws, the way they address claims, the service that they give us in terms of their representation and so forth. And they give them a ranking. And we were talking about this yesterday, and we're going to have a gold, silver, bronze and black ranking for our vendors, and that'll help us to know whether we should in fact be proceeding. The alarming thing is that just recently we've introduced an interface fabric range, and they tell me that for the last 4 quarters they've lost $7 million a quarter. Now that can't go on. That's a sign. And Momentum are moving out. They're going to cut their programs, they're not engaging in new stuff. So I think there's things like that that we need to learn too. So where am I up to? They run their sales management program. They look for about $1 million per rep and structure their remuneration around them being paid exceeding well at that level, and those not achieving will be motivated, including training, to move to that level or move on. Which sounds harsh, but I think he's saying that they really need $1 million a rep to make it work. And can I say we're not in any different position than that? Supposing a good rep can average 5 calls a day, say 25 a week, make this 20, this equates to 48 weeks by 20 calls, which is 960 calls per year. How well do we make sure our people are spending those 960 opportunities to the very best advantage? Right at the minute, I don't think we do. I think it's a very pragmatic decision, and as much as I think the people that are making those decisions are well-intentioned, I think they could do a lot with better information from our system, from our Peter. And actually the introduction of Pronto, I was sitting there yesterday thinking about the way we are going about this, and I was listening to the numbers of dollars that some companies that have installed Pronto, and they're huge, you know, there's hundreds of millions of dollars, and we're, by that standard, very small. But can I tell you, I think unless we make that investment, unless we make that mind change to do things better, we'll always be a small ad hoc company, and I think our people deserve better than that. I think our industry deserves better than that. We can contribute a lot more than we do, and I think that the implementation of some of these systems and procedures and monitoring and distributing the information that we gain from these processes is going to be crucial.